Facebook family and friends. Good morning. Saturday, FA Formers Anonymous. We're in the house, rocking it out. As always, we try to come to you every Saturday. Although we've missed last Saturday, we were both on the road handling things, taking care of family issues. But we're back this week. Again, I'd like to welcome the founder of Formers Anonymous and great friend and a buffalo-headed man. Here you go. Sammy Rangel, good morning. What's happening, my brother from another mother?
At this point, are you still welcoming me? Because I feel like I've moved in.
You are definitely a large part of the situation here, buddy.
I see what you did there. Good morning. Surviving the heat wave out here in this beautiful land of wild nature and no rain. I think I'm in the desert. I don't think I'm in the mountains. I think I'm in the desert.
Nature and restricted human rights.
Access to the resources we need. Damn it. It's dry as F. You go outside and you just bathe in dust. That's it. Everything's dying from being burnt alive.
Yeah, well, I mean, the way things are going, they might have human beings on those pyres soon.
Our ponds are like, my pond is like half its size right now. It's ridiculous.
It's that bad, huh?
It's bad, dude. Like, I haven't cut the grass in almost a month.
You see, Lake Mead is almost dry now, right?
It's dry as F.
Morning, Amy. Love you, hon. Lake Mead in Vegas was dropping 8 inches a day. It's 160 some feet below its normal level. The drought, as you go south, and even worse as you go west, the drought is just horrifying.
Yeah, I mean, we're trying to plant a garden out here, and everything's just sizzling.
Right.
We're gonna have to put up like shade tents in a little bit, like to give the plants some reprieve. They need the sun, but not at 4 million degrees.
Right, with zero liquidity.
It's a little excessive, and we're watering every night, but we can't keep it up. We can't keep up with it.
Yeah, I was talking to somebody else about how watering them in the sunlight actually causes damage.
Oh no, we only do it at night. We do it once there's shade, like 5 or 6 when it's shade. But the problem is it's still 100 degrees outside at 9 o'clock at night here.
Jeez.
So it's like the thermometer reads 99. It does feel like 70 though compared to the sun, but I guess it's just standing in the dark. But it's so hot and humid. It's just it's ridiculous. But anyway, such is the life. I can't even complain. I love it still. I love it out here, man. I'd rather be dealing with this heat than that snow. So,
see, I never understood that, man. Like, the snow doesn't bother me at all.
What's your natural habitat as a woolly mammoth? It's just your natural habitat. It's like, good morning, everyone.
Welcome to FA, you guys. You already know the business. Cassie, good morning, sweetheart. Love you. Kittens are doing well. We named them Ding Dong and Twinkie. They are sassy and wild and all settled in.
Yeah, we got Celine's cat here.
How's that going?
Well, you fucked Julie up. Julie's like holding the cat like a baby, trying to introduce it to another cat that it's never seen, and that cat went ham. That cat went ham in her hands, and her hands looked like Freddy Krueger shredded her, like she was defensive wounds. You know what I mean? It's ridiculous.
Poor Julie, man. Got to live with you on top of everything else, and now she's getting beat up by cats.
That's natural selection right there. That's all that is. That's all I could put that to. Who grabs a fucking 4-footed bladed critter to introduce it to an anxiety-filled room and animal? Like, all right, you're trying to bear hug, Freddy Krueger's good. Like,
right.
Those cats go ham, man. They turn into
something. Morning,
yeah, good morning, everyone. Amy. Amy. I wish Amy would come visit me soon.
Amy. Amy doesn't want to go see you. She doesn't
I
want to
know.
go down to Hillbillyville.
She doesn't even want to go down the road anymore. I see.
She might take a ride on that bike though. She's got a nice new bike, man. It is pretty, bro.
I'm pretty sure her ass would be up by her shoulder blades riding that bike down here, though. That's a long ass ride. It looked like that Gru from the Little Minions guys.
Right. Hey, I want to remind you guys, bottom of the screen, rolling across the ticker tape, as always.
I take all hugs.
I know it, bro. Remember when we didn't? Remember when we were all dicks and we thought we were tough? And
Don't touch me.
yeah, I don't need love.
Yeah, don't touch me.
I'm a man. I'm a man. So hey, we worked our way up. And we were talking right before we started the show about some people ask, and people have been asking about the differences between Formers Anonymous and other 12-step programs. We're not saying we're better. We are saying we are different.
We're not saying that out loud.
Right. Not out loud. But
Which
the difference is
working on humility here.
The differences definitely start to show as we enter this next step, which is step 4. Sammy, you got the literature on that pulled up?
I do.
You want to do some reading? Is that your coffee cup? Put that back. Put that back. Put that back.
Listen. Before you judge me, I have been nauseous for over a week now. I don't know what it is. I'm not pregnant. I checked. I don't know. But I'm drinking out of a 4 cup measuring cup. Well, let me tell you why I've moved up to this. Because I'm trying to get out of this nausea stage. I've been juicing for the last few days, and the last few days I've had 2 cups. Now, this might be TMI, but yes, Monte, I haven't really taken a poop in 7 or 8 days now.
That's bad.
And I'm taking medicine to try to go. Like, I'm in a bad state right now. I'm nauseous. I didn't sleep very well last night because, I feel like I gotta go, but I can't go. So, since I've been drinking 2 cups, you know how we do it. More is better. So, I have escalated up to the 4 cup serving on juices in hopes that it get better. I mean, this is enough to make me want to smash my head in between 2 moving semis or something. It's bad. I can't even believe I'm here right now. I'm like, ugh. But here we are pushing through. So I hope you got a 12 TV. We live in the boonies, and we got a couple of 24 cases around here. Monte, tell you, we got more than enough bathrooms, so they're all stockaded up. Like we're preppers out here. We're prepped. We're ready for the zombie apocalypse.
Yes, they are. I will GQ that comment. They are ready for the apocalypse out there.
Before we get into step 4, I want to talk about something that I think is still, I know is very relevant to what we're doing here, because it talks about the mindset that you got to have to get through hard times, right? So we got Ann, Casey, Amy. All right. We got the girl squad right now, the women's squad.
Yvette, hola, mija. ¿Cómo está usted, mi amiga? My friend Yvette's on here, too. She's amazing.
I didn't see no Yvette.
Yeah, she's at the very top. She does a lot of charity work. We'll talk about afterwards. She works with kids in the neighborhood. She started a company called Gamesters Bay, where teens and kids can come play games for free.
Why don't I know about this woman? Where is she from? Where's she?
She's from Chicago and Ohio, but she's been operating up here in Wisconsin.
Hold on, man. Hold on. That's a weird combo. You can't be from Chicago and Ohio. Which one are you from first?
She's got roots in both. So we did some work for her, and we helped move some.
Becca?
Hey, Becca, love you, babe. We moved some.
Look, you don't. I mean, hold on. If you start in Ohio, you're not gangster. If you start in Chicago and move to Ohio, then you're still gangster. That's why the order matters. Where is she from?
Man, I don't know which one is the first, bro. It's like chicken and egg.
She better clarify. We got to check her creds right now. Anyway, look, I'm a country boy from the city now. That's how I'm living out here. Hey, let me tell you, I was outside cutting my grass in 100-degree weather. Right? She says, "Well, I'm from New York. See, it started with it didn't start with Texas. You started with New York, and you see the order matters because you come from right now. If you would have said you're from Texas, you would be like, okay, but you're from New York, so you're like, I got it. You know, I see it, right? So anyway, listen. Let me tell you how I've been keeping a low profile out here, right? I have just been. I'm not, I've got 4 neighbors. You know what I mean, and I don't mess with nobody. I'm outside cutting the grass in 100-degree weather, so I don't have a shirt on, right? My neighbors pull up. They're like in their hundreds. They pull up, and the wife says to me, I just asked Terry, my neighbor, what he would do if he saw you walking down the street like that without your shirt on. And he said he would run. I said, I'm just cutting my grass. Like, I'm not trying to mess with nobody. I'm just trying to do what everybody else does around here. Cut some grass. So it's like, that's the thing right now. No disrespect to Ohio, but if I'm from Ohio, I'm probably not going to get that very much. You know what I mean? Like, that's just because even when you try to shed your personality, you just can't. Like, I'm out here just trying to be a farmer, not an OG farmer, just a farmer. She said, "Racist ass old MFers." I know you're right. You're right, Becca. Yeah, across the street, Sam. Across the street. So anyway, listen. I've more or less been. So we made this move, and when we made this move, I made a bunch of changes. I didn't walk away. I needed a timeout from my last role that I had for 5 years. We were burning at both ends. I'm always on the road. We did phenomenal work. I grew an amazing organization, man. Just it's a legacy program, man. That thing is going to go on forever, and it's going to make a difference all over the country, man. It's going to make the world safer, right? One person at a time. And a lot of the principles of that nonprofit are based on what we do here at Formers. They're all synonymous. I don't really do things that are so drastically different that one doesn't touch the other, right? But in that time, that's been about 9 months now. In that time, I took some time because I got 43 tattoos by injection. So I guess they see me too. Yeah, that's how it is around here, Becca. Or they circle the wagons, one of the two. There are some of those out here. Now, the last 6 months, so since January, I've been trying to stick my toe in the water and find my next mission. The next mission I'm going to, to take on as, just part of my next steps. And I finally landed the opportunity I was looking for. Took about 6 months. Now, here's where I'm getting at. In that 6 months, money's been tight. Things have not been for sure. There was no way to know. And here's what's incredible. We knew money would be tight before we took these steps. Right? We knew that nothing was for certain. We knew nothing was dedicated, and I'm still trying to manifest other projects, other things. Me and you are working on some things together to try to get up and go. And here's what's important about what we're doing. We got to put that energy out, right? We got to put that energy out. And you can't have any doubt. Otherwise, it won't work, right? You can't half-ass it. You can't be like, I'm going to try. There's a difference between I'm going to try and I'm going to do, right? And then you surround yourself with even just one other person, 1 or 2 people. If it's more than that, great. But you surround yourself with people who believe in you so much, they're like, hell yeah, it's a done deal. It's a done deal, right? Like they already know that in time, what you're trying to realize will be realized. You will do, what it is. Trying is I agree with you, and to a degree, I just don't think people actually understand how far you have to go with your commitment. And when you think about that from a recovery standpoint, right? How many people try to negotiate or dose recovery? They try to figure out the right dosage of recovery, right? In the beginning, how many of us, compromised with what we would do?
Yep.
Well, I'll stay in the gang, but I'll only go to juntas. But I'm not going to go on any missions. Right. And we see that as a real effort to try to change, but then we know what happened. That's a slippery slope, right? Like it's like only going with the tip. It's not gonna work. Well, here's what I'm getting at. I'm out of money. I'm out of money. But that lines up with the money I had to live off of all this time, got us through to this point, and it's down to zero, right? Then I find the opportunity that's going to straighten everything out again, right? And it's taken off. I'm at that intersection where most people quit. By the time you get to zero, whether it's energy, faith, belief, ambition, whatever it may be, by the time you get to zero, that's where a lot of people quit. That's like that's what you call the point of no return, right? You can't turn the plane back because you don't have enough fuel. So you got to keep going forward. What's up, Jim Bob?
What's up, Jim?
Right. So not many people get to that point where they can deplete everything they have in that faith moment, in that moment of faith where it says, are you in for real or not? I didn't bail because I saw the end coming. I said, that's not the end. That's just the door that I got to get through to get to the other side.
Yep.
And it's like trying to hold your breath and then panicking because you don't think you have enough in you to make it past that last second of breath, right? But there's a place for that. There's a moment in time when you realize, and you've learned through everything you've experienced, that when things get that bad, that's when the next opportunity is going to come knocking. Monte, you ever been to jail?
Well, yes, I have.
You go to jail, and you realize that the opportunity you were hoping for was right there, but you just missed it because you gave up too soon. And now you can't even grab it because of your situation, right?
Yep.
But if you had held out a little longer,
I'd have been just fine.
Or people, trying to stay clean so they can get a job, and then they like, fuck it. And then they use, and then the next day they get a call for the job. Right. And then you're like, shit, I just screwed that up. Right. It's that thing where you keep telling yourself, man, if I would have just waited another day, another moment, another second, a little longer. Right. That's right. And right. It's just a little, and you don't wait that little longer, and then you blow it. And here's what's freaking crazy. Most of us don't even know we blew it.
Mm-hmm.
We don't even know that what we were looking for. And this relates to relationships as well. Check this out. Me and you talked about this a lot when we first met one day. Being in a bad relationship. Being in a bad relationship forces you, it causes you to miss out on the right relationship.
Yep.
Right? Because the right person is going to see you doing things that don't align with who they are, and they're going to have to pass you. They're going to have to pass you up, man. And you may not even know that they passed you up. You just lost an opportunity. As they say, you can't win if you don't gamble. Right? And you got to bet everything, everything on your belief in what you're trying to do, man. If you're trying to make it and you're trying to do something different with your life, and you're trying to level up, and you're trying to force yourself into a new situation, you got to be able to go past that point of no return.
Yep.
See, and that's most people can't tell the difference between falling and flying. And sometimes we're falling, right? Sometimes we're falling and think we're flying. And sometimes we're flying and think we're falling. And I say most of the big difference between the two is the fact of what you believe in your heart. If you don't really truly believe in the step you're about to take that pertains to your life, how can you actually achieve your goal?
Right.
Because if you're not putting in all the skin that you can, your pound of flesh, man,
Every time, bro.
you're not going to get it. You're not going to get it, you know. And FA went through those growth periods where it seemed like maybe we should just close the doors, you know. And we kept saying, no, no, bro. Remember how many times we go to a meeting, no one show up, and we're like,
It's
man,
just you or just me or just us together. Yeah.
yeah, you know. And it's like, no, you can't. It's you have to get to that point of return. And I'm not surprised that I got to this point and landed what I needed to land in this moment because I knew that's what the outcome would be if I did it this way.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? And so all you can do is, you know, you build that bank account through karma, right? Like just keep building that karmic bank account up, man. Put good into the world, put good into your energy, just give it away, do as much as you can, be of service, be of positiveness, you know. You can have your moments of doubt, but you got to live in your belief, you know. You got to nothing's perfect here, man, but it's, you know, like Ann said, that's what I'm doing now. I'm being patient. Patience is the hardest thing to be when you are, you know, struggling to get your next breath of air, but that's exactly what you got to be, you know. You know who really models this in our cavers? You ever seen these guys go through caves that they can barely squeeze through? And they're
Yeah.
down there for
Squankers.
hours. They're down there like I'm claustrophobic, man, just looking at it, right? But these guys, dude's like, you got to be patient. You know, they got to catch the right breath to make the next move. You know, Ann says it's okay to cry. I do it daily sometimes, but I'm not quitting.
We
Yeah,
just talked about that.
Monte's like that too. He cries all the time, and I have to remind him not to quit.
Quietly in a room with no mirrors because I'm too much of a man to see myself cry.
Anyway, that's a side note, man. That's the side note. You know, it's a beautiful place to be, man. Like you know, for the next couple weeks, we got to figure out how to put gas in the cars. But after that, we're gonna be fine. You know, we're gonna be
No
fine.
doubt.
It's coming. Everything's coming. You know, it's
Love you, Becca. Selena. Love you, sweetie. And that part, Monte, you already know, right? Let me expand on that a little bit. I remember going to Sammy a couple of years outside of coming home, 2 years, 3 years. Single dad, struggling. Well, shit, I was doing roadside assistance. I was working for toppers. I was doing yard work. And I kept telling Sammy, man, like, it was hard. And he kind of laughed. And he was like, but necessary. That shit pissed me the fuck off when he said that at first, right? Like, I got mad. I got mad as shit. I didn't, and I don't ever tell people when I'm angry. I was just like, yeah, it's cool, whatever, right? Like, fast forward, you know, 6, 7 years later, without all those experiences that I had as I struggled, I wouldn't understand how good I have it right now that I'm struggling, right? Like, sales are down, you know, it's been a little rough this season. Sammy and I are building another venture together as a team, something that I think will be amazing in the end. And that's what it, for me, that's what it was. I was learning was that patience, right? That ability to look back and say, all right, right now the picture is here, right? And I'm seeing this red zone, but when I back up on the map and open that up and see the entirety, that red zone is like this small in comparison to this world of opportunity I'm entering, right? Like, there's this huge universe, and the hard part is just like this tiny little satellite moon, this little asteroid on the map, right? That I got to make it through, and that's how I look at it now. When shit gets to be fucked up, I look at it. It's just a little dot on my map of hard times, right? And even if there's another dot after that, still a little dot on the big map of opportunity.
Not even there. There
When?
will
When?
be. Yeah,
When?
there is. There's good. That's life, man. Like, because you crawl out of this hole, don't mean you're at the top. You still got other holes to crawl out of, man. And there are holes dropping out the sky all the time, right in front of you, trying to get you to fall in there. Right? It's gonna happen. It's just the way it is, man.
Yeah, shit's fucked up right now. And it's still better than prison. Right? It's still better than sitting in a cage watching this crap from the outside. So,
as they say, man, be happy that those are your problems, because there's another stage, another phase of suffering that none of us and says, I'm unemployed and homeless, but what matters to me is that I'm not giving up. We survivors, I'll make it through it, to go through it, to get to it. That's right. That's right.
I've known her since I was a kid, bro.
Mm.
She's always been a beast, man. She's always had that strength, that fire inside her, right? She went through some really bad stuff in life, and she never let it break her. She just continued to push forward, and she still does.
I see. There are times like this when you're living in this uncertainty for sure, and you're not quite sure where to go next. The problem with what we think we need to do is that we think we need to see where we're headed, when really in this type of crisis, the most important thing is to keep moving forward. It doesn't matter where you're headed, because it's like the worst thing that you can do right now is just stop moving forward. And you got to drag it all. We got to drag it all. That's right.
Look at that.
It's community's happening, man. That's what needs to happen.
Right. You see that, Ann? You see what Becca just messaged? There's opportunities out there, man. And
yeah.
We just got to be ready to take them.
And not even just not even the opportunities are out there. I mean, we've been making the things that we need. Like sometimes you got to go into manufacturing whatever opportunity you need. Like if there is no job, you have to make a job. I mean, you started a moving company out of nothing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Me, Amy, and Dave. When Amy came to me, I was working at the shop. I was building the shop for Nick, and we were like in our 4th or 5th month, and we were starting to pop. I had started bringing in customers left and right. We were making buttloads of money at Nick's, but it was still a struggle because we had a buttload of bills. And Amy came in, and I didn't know, but I was on 2 phones. I was dealing with 2 customers on 2 different phones while I had a customer sitting in the office, and I had my kid with me. And Amy came in, and she just kind of watched for a little while. And then as soon as I was done and I slowed down, she goes, I think I have an opportunity for both of us. Let's sit down and talk. And then we pushed from there, and we've done well. Right now the market's a little different than it has been in the last couple of years. It's a little shakier. But even still, we're still making it. You know what I mean? We're still getting our bills paid, and it's not as much excess as we had in past years. We don't have as big of a boat, but at the same time, we're not drowning. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, and you're right. Like I didn't know what I was going to do. I was unemployed. I was injured. I just had surgery. I was down for at least 6 months to a year, so I couldn't do any of my automotive work. I couldn't do any of my general contracting work. I didn't know what to do, and I just stuck it out. And Amy came through and asked a question, and her and I just went to town from there. And then we hooked up with Dave, and it was a good ride up.
Yeah. And there's a lot of formation happening right now. right? Which is why the word formers is so critical to what we do, because we're in the formation period of things. That's when you heat things up. That's when you pound things into place. That's when you have to submerge them. There's a lot of what looks like, destruction, but it's actually chipping away until you get at what it is that you see inside of this thing in front of you, right? And sometimes you got to strip it down to nothing and reform it, right? That's what recovery is about, man. It's this horrible process of forging yourself, right? Heating up the metal, burning the metal, beating the metal, bending the metal, breaking the metal, stacking the metal, pounding the metal, dousing it in oil so it catches on fire. And then you grind the shit away at it. And it's not until the very, 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 very end of all of that you put the shine on it. It's like, and if you take any shortcuts in that process, your metal might be, it might suffer from a fracture or from weakness and a pain point, right? And so there are no shortcuts, man. We have to, we got to get back to basics, and those basics matter. And that's a good segue into what we're going to talk about right now, which is step 4. And we do things, in other self-help groups, I think most people drop out of recovery when it comes to approaching step 4. And here's why I think they used to do that and why they don't do that now with us. Step 4 in the old traditional way, the way of before, was about identifying your character defects. Now, if you're, let's just put this in a different perspective. If you're suicidal, what is the wisdom behind, what is the science behind asking someone to dive deeper into why they hate themselves as a point of healing? Right? It's like saying, if you want to get to the light, add more darkness. Right? If you want to come up for air, dive deeper into the bottom of the ocean. Right? Some of this is counterintuitive from what we've learned about research today. Right? We need to be able to talk about what's going on, but let's talk about the phrase character defect. This question asks, what is wrong with you? Right? What is wrong with you? Now, for those of you listening, we can make a list of what's wrong with us like no other.
In our sleep,
left-handed, backwards through the mirror, right? No problem. Let me tell you all the things that are wrong with me. Right? That there's a time and a place for that, but the way we do that matters, because when you're asking people what's wrong with you, the question is so loaded and it's directing you towards a bad place in life.
Becca, love you. Don't worry about it. Call me later. And Selena, quit snitching on me.
So when you are already in a bad place, and most people are in a bad place by the time they get to step 4, they're starting to feel a little bit better, but they're very raw. And then you got somebody excited about change, right? You're like, all right, you've accepted it, you've surrendered, you've given your life over, and now we're going to ask you, what's wrong with you? What's the matter with you? Right? I get what you're trying to do. I get the spirit of the question, but the question is asked in a way that creates an enormous amount of fear stacked on enormous. It's called stacking. You're stacking the deck against somebody with the way you ask questions.
I think it's harmful. I think it's.
Well, I mean, the proof is in the pudding by the sheer number of people that kind of go back when they see this and like, oh my God, this is too much. We can't submerge people into crisis and trauma haphazardly. There has to be a very concerted effort here to be mindful. I think you're 100% right, Monte. We have to know that we're dealing with years and years and years of trauma.
Mhm.
And so we need to be we need to be what's called trauma informed, right? And then that's what has led to trauma informed care, TIC. We need to be more mindful of the fact that we're dealing with an enormous amount of trauma. But the reason we don't like to introduce trauma is because the overall traditional models are based on the fact that we're all pieces of shit.
Right. That Jungian thought that we were
Yeah.
born evil and
Yeah, that you're just
genetically predetermined to be bad.
well that the addiction governs,
Mm-hmm.
right? And because of that, right? And because of that, you have to constantly be on alert and a lookout for that, right? Um yeah, you need to be mindful, and there's a difference between having to be cautious and having to be paranoid, right? And that's why I
Hey,
think
Kirk, why are you telling people about my teddy bear, bro?
that's why I think people run away from step 4 because one, it's not trauma informed. It dismisses and bypasses the fact that trauma is a real issue and dynamic here, and it basically says that we need to tear you down before we build you up, right? And we need you to admit just how terrible of a person you are. Like, character defects are permanent, right? And it's the way you're always going to be. It's why 30 years from now, even if I'm clean, I'm still an addict or I'm still an alcoholic. It's a permanent defect. And that's not necessarily the issue, where I think we have to acknowledge that we have addictions or we have issues, but that doesn't need to be the primary focus forever.
Right.
I think we need to focus on it like in step 1, 2, and 3, but then we have to start figuring out the healing process, and we need to focus more on the healing process, right? So having said all that, let me get to what I think we're talking about here. Step 4 is less about, and I'm reading from excerpts of our literature here. Step 4 is less about right and wrong. See, and that's called a value judgment, right? It's still a judgment based on the value that we place on something. I'm going to say that step 4 is about cause and effect. This is what I do. This is the result. You see how that's different than a character defect? Look, we all know we got some fucked up shit going on inside of us. That's not what we need to be reminded of. We need to be redirected to understanding that there's a certain thing that I want, right? I want something in my life. So I'm listening to Anne say, I need a job, right? I want to do something with my life. That's an important 4th step component. But if we ask Anne to stop focusing on what she wants to tell me what's wrong with her, those are 2 different directions that lead to 2 different places completely. Like, so Anne is rock bottom. We could just pretend like, and I'm making this stuff up, and I'm not even really talking about. Let's call her Jane. Jane is rock bottom. And I asked Jane, I have the potential to ask 2 questions. One is, what's wrong with you? How the fuck did you end up down there? Or 2, do you need some help? Do you want me to help you get out of that? Is there something I can do to be of service? Now, which question do you think is uplifting? Which question do you think leads to a positive result? Is me knowing how she got down there almost necessary for me to know that I can extend a hand down to get her up? I mean, there's a time and a place for that. And I'm pretty sure just because I've been sitting around the table for a long time doesn't make me a therapist or a counselor, right? Just because I've gotten myself doesn't mean I can start doing therapy with people. We have to be careful about this. So what we want to know is cause and effect, and what we call is dissonance and discord. Dissonance sounds like a big word, but it's what it really means is there's a gap between what I want and what I have, right? And that gap basically says, I want to stop smoking, but I'm still smoking. That's dissonance. All right. You see that? I'd like to stop smoking, but I can't stop smoking. That's dissonance. This is where I'd like to be, but this is where I'm at. And they don't match. Do you follow me? Are you with me on this, Monte?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Right? So I want to stop smoking, but I can't stop smoking. I can say you can't stop smoking, or I can say you want to stop smoking. And both of those questions push you in a direction in your heart and in your mind.
Yep.
If I get you to focus on the fact that you can't stop smoking and I stay on that forever, guess what? You'll never stop smoking.
That's right.
If I get you to, and that there's science behind this. This isn't just me making this up. There's research, there's science behind this, man. It matters. Right? If I get you to focus on what you want also, and then eventually put all our energy behind that, you'll get there. You'll be able to stop smoking because we'll figure out what your why is. You know, what is it that you want to do and why do you want to do that? Because that becomes your motivation. Now, that why is what we call spiritual principles. Right? And it has nothing to do with God. If you've been with us, it can. If you relate to God when we talk about spirituality, that's fine. But the program Formers doesn't relate it through the filter of God. Spirituality, in a nutshell, we've got a whole piece written on this in the literature, is essentially the most important relationships that you have that make you feel connected to this place. And so you can see that whatever that relationship is for you, we want to help you foster and build it and get closer to it. If for some, it might be God or a version of some sort of religious relationship. For others, it might be family, friends, children. Who knows? It could be anything. It could be an item that has sentimental value to you. Whatever it is that makes you feel connected. There are spiritual principles, those rules and beliefs that we have, those values, those morals that we have that make us feel so connected to life and to each other and to ourselves. There are spiritual relationships, those relationships where we get all the sustenance that we need, the support that we need. You know, we could say that what Becca and Ann are doing right now is the development of a spiritual relationship, right? They're building, they're saying, hey, I relate, I empathize, I've been there, I've done that. Let me help you. Would you like some help? You see, Ann and Becca aren't going over, well, tell me what's your character defect first so I can understand how to help you. Yep. No, we're saying, and we're not saying that we don't need to talk about these things. We're saying we don't need to prioritize them permanently as the leading force behind the change that we make. Nobody changes from being judged harshly or from judging ourselves harshly. We need to evaluate, which is understanding the dissonance. And because we understand the dissonance, I want to stop smoking, but I can't. The discord is as a result of not being able to do that. Here's what happens. I'm coughing, I'm sick, I have a headache, I have emphysema, I have lung cancer. That's what happens. So when we recognize that there's dissonance, we know that there's inherently discord. So, you know, I'd love to do this. I'm struggling to do this. And as a result, I'm having these failures or I'm having these struggles or, you know, I'm not reaching my goal. Once we recognize that, then we start identifying, well, what's in my bag? What do I have at my fingertips? What's in my resource bag, my resource library or index that I can tap into to help me get there? Right? That's the only reason we're talking about dissonance and discord. It's not to rub your face in shit. And it's not to re-traumatize you by making you look at your trauma in a really untrained, unprofessional, you know, open the can of worms kind of way. No, we're just trying to understand where you're at, where you'd like to be, and how to get you there. Once we can help you get there, you have so much more psychological safety available to you that it becomes somewhat safer to be able to take a look at what's not working for you. See, because where you want to be, where you are, and asking how we're going to get there, we have to understand that this is what's not working.
Yep.
Versus trying to understand what's wrong with me. How am I broken? How am I defective? How am I permanently ill? You know, nobody, we need to be cautious, but we don't need to be paranoid about what we're dealing with. And so once we understand where we'd like to be, and we take a solid look at where we're at, because we did that in step 1, 2, and 3, now we're ready to see where we want to be. And now we're going to look at our strengths and our weaknesses. We're going to look at the discord and the dissonance, which is the weakness part, right? This is what's stopping me. This is what's getting in my way. And then in step 4, we're not going to do it post step 4. We're going to do it together in step 4, right? Step 4 isn't just about digging up all the shit we can on you. No, now that we're touching on that, we want to understand, what we can do about it, man. And what do you actually have? Someone that you need to start a business, but you don't have any money. What do you have? Well, I have a business plan. I've got investors, people who might invest if I get to a certain point. I've got a truck. I've got a line on a truck. My girlfriend supports me. My children are small. So it's like you start looking at what you have, not what you don't have, not what you're missing. You need to know what you can do. So Ann is saying, I'm homeless. Great. What do you have? And she said, I have motivation. I have faith. I have focus. I have strength. That shit matters. Because without it, all you ever will know is what you don't have.
Yep.
Right? And step 4, and I'm being real kind of loose with what we're talking about here. Like, I'm not diving into the specific elements of it, but what we're saying is that you can't get anywhere by depressing the shit out of people or yourself, man. If we're trying to end our devotion to suffering, we can't make people eat more suffering. That's not the way out. When there's a pain point, we need to address it and then move forward. We need to expand, not contract. Right. And so when you ask somebody what's wrong with you, that forces them to contract. They shrink, they shrivel. It's like when you put match next to plastic and the plastic shrivels up and tries to get away. We don't want to do that to people. And that's what happens when we trigger trauma in all these, armchair, psychologists who don't know what the fuck they're doing to people when they ask these questions. Let's open up all
they know and they don't care.
No, I don't know. I don't want to go that's we're not judging. What we're saying is you're not qualified to do it. We know this off the bat. You're just not the person to be running people through their trauma. And for some, it's going to be that they don't know. And for some, it's going to be they're just reckless. Ego is still a part of the relapse recovery dynamic, right? People come from ego and they're like, well, this is what it took for me. Well, that may not be what it takes for everyone else.
Okay.
And remember, if we have to model the values that we want them to model, which is we're not interested in value judgments. What we want to know is that when you do it that way, discord, it doesn't work, or dissonance, it doesn't work. Discord, when you do certain things, it leads to dissonance and discord. That means you're out of balance. Mm-hmm. The simplest way to put that is that it throws things out of whack. When you do it this way, this is the result, and now everything's screwed up. So what we need to do is do it somewhere different. And in order to figure out how to do it different, we got to understand what's available to us to help us do it different. Right? You could is Jane who fell into the hole because she doesn't care?
Absolutely not.
Do you see what I mean? That's value judgment. That's why value judgment. But there will be people that look in the hole and be like, look at that dumbass. Right? There will be people who do that. That's value judgment. Right. And we're saying that's not the way to go. So we can't ourselves do it in turn to someone. You cannot adopt the values of the people we're questioning values with.
Okay. And so this is on subject, but off subject. I think a lot of that has to deal with the fact that most people base their view of others off of a faith-based system that, although it says not to judge, teaches how to judge, right? And I think that for me was the biggest attraction. First off, you're right. When we started the hard work, we started by first identifying what strengths I had, what knowledge I had, what were the points about me that I liked, and how could I move forward with those points to make myself stronger, right? Like that was the direction we went, right? Like we never went to, well, Monte, you fucked up this, 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 and this, and this. And when I did fall backwards, we'd be like, all right, well, what can we do to make things, you know, what do you have? What tools do you have? Let's push forward, right? I think for a lot of us, we get caught up. I'm still dealing with my lack of religious faith, right? I'm still working on what I used to view people as based on what I used to believe, right? Like I'm still doing that, bro. Like I'm still stopping and saying, whoa, 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 where did that come from? Why did I think this about that person, right? Was that based on a true belief that I hold in my heart, or is this belief based on something I was taught since childhood, right? And I'm finding a lot of the shit that I was using in my head was based on that shit from childhood, right? Like that educated shit. And that's what I call it. I call it educated shit because that's what it is. It just it weighs me down. For me, that's why 4 was so powerful, right? I got to sit and think about what I knew, what I could do, right? I've been through all the other 12-step programs, right? I've been through all of it, and none of them taught me. None of them taught me about myself. You know what I mean? They didn't teach me how to. You're right. Like I delved deeper into my darkness, right? Like I'm already a piece of shit. That's why I'm a criminal and a drug addict, right? Like because inside aren't I just this piece of shit anyways? You know, I never. When you pointed out, you're like, bro, you're one of the most loyal friends I've ever met. Like, you know, you give everything to everybody. Those were things I didn't know, bro. Those were things I didn't even. I just took that as that's who I was supposed to be. I'm supposed to help the people I love, right? That's my job. So do it, right? I never thought of that as a character asset. I never thought of that as a strength. I never thought of that as a part of me to build on who I am. I get you, bro.
You know, and saying, you know, I have the drive, right? And that drive is important. But let me tell you what else is important. Having the help.
Mm-hmm.
Because, you know, none of us, first of all, we don't want to be alone on this journey because look at what we've done when we've been alone on this journey. let's just point that out. This is we are often the last ones to be listening to our thoughts. Like we should not be listening to our thoughts by ourselves. Somebody else should be privy to what you're thinking, just in case somebody needs to say, "Holy shit, you know, you're out there, you're out there." I mean, I remember I was having to just sitting on a couch next to somebody, and before I know it, the conversation was revolving around if we threw a body on Lake Michigan when it's frozen, the seagulls would eat it.
Yep.
What the? First of all, how? Like, and it was just the most casual, normal conversation. It was like no big deal. And then all of a sudden, I realized we're having this conversation, and I'm like, "Holy fuck! I think we just went down this rabbit hole." Right? Now, granted, you know it's not that easy just to go out there and become a serial murderer. It
takes some work. It takes
a little bit more than I'm willing to put into it right now.
Right.
But the thing is that we cannot do this alone, man, and we shouldn't do this alone. No need, and there's no need to do it alone. Yes, you got to put in the work. Have somebody hold your coat, though. All right, like that's just the way it is, and it may not always be the same person. So we get our needs met from different people, man. You know, not everyone meets all of our needs. You know, it's the way it is, right? And so diversify your portfolio when it comes to recovery. You need to have a lot of people because people will fail you even in recovery, and you will fail yourself even in recovery. So the more people and the more things you have in your life, right, will help you. Now, I want to read this line from step 4. It says, we lead the charge to look deeper into change and recovery strategies, that activate, and this is what we're talking about, right? That activate our courage, strengths, and abilities over the alleged benefits of focusing on the disease and all its components. Put this into perspective. Your house is on fire. You're stuck on the 10th floor. And Becca, I see you guys are pretty active. Answer this question. Do you want the fireman to ask you, how did you start this fire? How did this fire start? Or do you want him to help you get out of the apartment? Go ahead and tell me. Type in your answer. You're on 10th floor, fire started. Fireman shows up. Are you wanting him to ask you, hey, can you tell me how retarded you have to be to start this fire? Or do you want him to tell me, get me out of here?
Becca, that's because I love you more than you love me. I'm just letting you know.
Right. Listen. Right. I'm the X-Filer. So I know how to get out myself. Okay, Becca, there's always one. There's always one.
And it's always Becca.
Right.
It's always Becca.
I guess.
Gangster.
Depending on what it looks like. Oh my God.
I love you, Jessica.
Okay, apparently you've never been trapped on the 10th floor in a fire because you ain't gonna give a fuck what that person looks like. He could be, I mean, I wouldn't care if he was dressed in. No, I'm going with him.
Save me, motherfucker.
Right. And so step 4 is a lot like being in that apartment and you're trying to get the hell out. Now you want to drag me down this memory lane of trauma and self-disgust. Come on, man. There's a time and a place for that. It's not right now. Right.
As criminals and addicts, it's like, don't we hate ourselves enough already? Like, aren't we at the point? And so, from my understanding, right, like, it's the Jungian thought of we need to destroy our persona to rebuild a new persona, right? Like, we have to wipe out the house to build the new house to fix our character defects. And I just disagree with that. I think that the house shouldn't be destroyed, right? Like, there's still parts of me that are good. Like, I couldn't have been who I am today if I had destroyed everything that I was, right? There was parts of me as a gangbanger that I keep to today that helped me walk this life and be a better human being. Morning, Boo. And fuck Sammy. Don't say morning to him.
That's right, Samantha. Good morning.
Oh, my God. And I love you, babe. But I read that completely different. When I was like, I'm so tired of beating, and I thought it said off, and I was like, what the hell is Ann on this morning? Like, I love you, Boo. But
you should have kept that to yourself. Now you made it weird in here. Now it's weird. In here.
And it's been weird since we were kids. Ann is a beast, bro. Listen, she was there for me when I was a young kid, and her and her husband lived upstairs from my mom. I've known her that long. Like, she's great. Cochino, you sabes? I was like, what the shit?
Huerco cochino.
Right. It's PG, well, PG-13, right? Like, PG-13, maybe 17, I don't know. But yeah, man, like, losing everything would have been horrible. I couldn't have been no mames way. God damn. Good morning, motherfuckers. This is how we do it. Yeah, bro. Like, bang on, right?
Listen, I'm saying let's put an end to the love-hate relationship and let's just focus on the love.
Hell yeah.
I can't put it any more. I can't put it any more serious, man. It's you can love yourself even when shit is fucking on fire, man. And that's a part of how we started this whole session today, right? Like, you just have to have it in you, no matter what's going on. You know, you're fireproof in many ways. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here up to a point, right? Okay. You can suffer and suffer well. Remember, and we haven't even talked about that today, but step 4 is about that. You know, but and give me permission to take that thought on right there, because I want to. It's real simple. Let me address. Although my past made me who I am today, I just said, let's get away from the love-hate relationship. That's a love-hate statement. You're damn right your past made you who you are today. Love it about yourself. because it needs love. It doesn't need you to distance yourself from it. It doesn't need you to reject it. It doesn't need you to shame it. It needs you to love it and empathize and have compassion. And trust me and Monte are the assholes we are today because of the assholes we were yesterday. And we both love the type of assholes we are today. Bottom line, we are a step better. And we couldn't be the dads we are, the husbands or the lovers that we are, the friends that we are, the kind of men that we are without that past. There is no running from the past. If you read the literature, it says your issues can outrun you. They can run faster than you. There's no sense in trying to outrun it. It's there's nothing there. Love it, because what once held you down will now hold you up. And it's what held you down that's going to fuel you, that's going to give you the energy, because you will have survived it and have given you the energy to do something with your life that is beautiful. Yes, we're I want you to come forward if you want to receive.
I thought it was the perfect time for music in the background, bro. It actually framed the shit perfectly.
Don't forget to bring your tithes with you.
Shit. Bob, that bomb ass, strong ass, independent ass woman you are today. Yeah, Ann is, man. Like, and I don't think Ann knows how much help she gave me. Like, just as a kid, when she was at her worst point and having all those problems and struggling and all the things that she taught me. So I agree with you, Becca. That mirror is a reflection of who I am, not who I was. Bang it out, Heather. What's up, babes? You're the hubby, my love.
You know, I want to just say that step 4 is still painful.
Absolutely.
But it's a different kind of pain. It's not just opening up a wound and letting it fester. It's healing is painful. But when you do it in the best way possible, it makes it bearable.
Mm.
And people aren't going to want to run from it because they're going to sense that this is helping things get better. Nobody will stick with a process if they feel like it's helping things get worse.
Right.
Do you follow me? So I think when you listen to your group, they're telling you, man, hey, the way we've been doing this sucks for us. We need a better process. And I think we're trying to come up with that. You know, there's no right or wrong way to do this, but there are better ways. I would say this, man, you know, and, you know, it takes the most honest approach to this space. And that's why it's important to do these things together. We don't want to take on recovery.
And I truly think this is the evolution of recovery, right? Like, and funny, we're not going to bring it into politics, but you know, there's this discussion of the Constitution being sacrosanct and staying the same for all times. Like, even the men who wrote it didn't believe that. They thought it should change. And that's, I think, what we've gotten to within recovery is we're trying to use the same things that worked, you know, 100 years ago, you know, today, and we have evolved. And recovery means that evolution. And that's what I look as former at. We're the next stage of recovery. Like, we're recognizing all the trauma and harm that we've caused ourselves, right? And instead of hating ourselves for it, we're embracing it and building on it, and suffering through that pain in a way, and that trauma in a way that helps us grow, doesn't stagnate us, right? And keep us in that swamp, right?
So we're gonna wrap this up with, here are the four questions, man. Where am I at? Right? Where would I like to be? What's not working? In between question 1 and 2, what am I doing that's not working? What am I doing that's not helping me to get to where I want to be? Just got to be real about that, right? Just got to be real about that. It's just an inventory. It's not, you don't have to eat the teaspoon of shit here. This is not what we're asking for. Where am I at? I'm in this really messed up situation. I'd like to be somewhere else. Where would I like to be? I'd like to be in a place where I feel better about myself. What's not working? I tend to really judge myself harshly. How am I going to get there? Well, I'm going to have to find other ways to look at myself, right? It's a simple process, but it is an enormous lift. All right. So I'm going to repeat that. Here's where I'm at. Here's where I'd like to be. Here's where I'd like to be. Here's what's not working, meaning what's between 1 and 2. And here's how I can fix that. Here's what I'm going to do about that. Right? That is a very different step 4 than ever before, because it does require you to take a realistic look at what's standing in your way. What are the weaknesses? What are the deficits? Whatever we want to call it. But it also requires you to dig deep and find what you bring to the table. Remember, we talk about what you bring to the table, not what brought you to the table. We don't got time to talk about that. We don't care why the apartment's on fire. While it's on fire, we want to get you out of that. So what do you bring to the table? What I bring to the table is exactly what I need to help me get out of this hole right now. And so when you're feeling shitty about yourself, remind yourself, what do I bring to the table? And don't listen to the voice that says, I'm a piece of shit, I don't have anything to offer the world. That's not true. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here. You're here for a reason. So stick with it, man. You know, this is a long-term project, and it starts with right now. And we wish you all the love. We're all here for you. I see everyone rallying around you. You know, Heather, thank you for your input. Becca, for being kind and resourceful and generous. And everybody else who stayed with us this morning, we appreciate you.
I want to address something real quick. Becca just stated about the 13 stepping. Like, don't ever feel bad, Becca. Here's what I say, and I know what we're talking about because we talked about it, right? Like outside of here. I always feel like putting them on blast is okay. Like, don't allow stuff like that to happen in secret, right? Like, if that's the situation, speak up and let it be known, and don't feel guilty about that. Like, you came to me and badass, right? Like, I'm glad you did. It made me feel good, and I confronted that situation. But don't feel bad about putting it on blast in group. Like, call that shit out. Love you, Heather. You know I love you.
The place that we do these things needs to stay safe. You know, and everyone needs to respect the healthy limits and boundaries that are in place for that reason. Okay, Becca, go ahead and do your thing then.
I love you, boo.
We got more work to do. Y'all got more work to do. All right, y'all.
We love you guys. Thank you for being a part of it. Perfect timing. Tater just walked in the office. Hold on. Come here, buddy. You want to say hi to Uncle Sammy? Uncle Sammy's on TV.
On the TV?
There he is.
What's up, buddy? What's up, mijo?
Oh.
You're talking in there.
You're talking in there. Yeah. That's right. Get that booger out and put it on your dad's lip.
No. Don't eat it on camera.
Put it on your dad's lip. Do it.
What? No.
Yeah, do it.
Sammy, shut up. You already know Satan's going to do it. Hey, go tell mommy you need your butt changed. You stink, bro. Or go get me a diaper.
Peace out, bro. I got to go. Much love, everyone.
Oh.
Did it get you? Good.
Yeah, bit my nipple. Oh. Shut up, Sammy. Go get a diaper and some wipes. That is going to change your booty. All right, we love you guys. One nipple or two doesn't make a difference. Shit.
Peace out, y'all.
We will talk to you guys next Saturday. At least he didn't poop on the carpet. I hear you, babes. I love you guys. TT Becca says she loves you, buddy. Hit me up if you guys want to talk. Otherwise, we'll see you on Saturday. We love you guys dearly. I got to go get medical attention. I think you took my nipple off.